The Liver Leaders Take 5 podcast invites you to take a few minutes to better understand the importance between your liver and your overall health. During each episode, different liver leaders throughout California take 5 questions to answer the most pressing issues impacting your liver today. Hosted by the Liver Coalition, my name is Scott Succo, the Executive Director, and you can always find us at livercoalition.org. With me today is Rick J. Nash. I've known him for a number of years. So welcome. Rick, how you doing?
Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
So people know you by a lot of names. How'd that come about?
Well, my name's Richard Jaenisch, but I started off using the pseudonym Rick J. Nash. The reason I did it was because when I first started doing my advocacy, I worked with children. I felt it was appropriate that I should have a pseudonym when I do my writing, mostly because the stigma around it was very difficult. It was necessary to have that kind of barrier. When you live with a stigmatized condition and you're familiar with the way people respond when they find out, you want to have a degree of safety that you can interact with, so this way you can choose how you plot that path forward.
Yeah, it's amazing. And Rick, that's why I've been looking forward to talking to you today. I think of you as a stigma buster, a patient, an advocate, and kind of a trailblazer. And tell us about your patient journey.
So it was weird because I was 12, and 12-year-olds don't usually have Hep C. And that's what they found out. I received it from my mom, who had picked it up while working as a dental surgical assistant in the early 80s. And so I just kind of watched her go through the treatments, the old treatments, actually. In my case, I was 12, so I was not eligible at that time. And, we would go through, the next decade or so, kind of trading off treatments. It was difficult for each of us to watch each other go through them because we knew that the success was low. I was just one of those people who had a rare resistant virus strain that meant that it was very difficult to treat. And so it took more. In total, I had 5 failed treatments. I had a lot of hope.
Like, what was your state of mind, and where did you find your grounding?
When you have this so many times, it has a backlash, and that's what I experienced next, was just this kind of crushing depression that, lasted for quite a time. That's when I started blogging and sharing it with my friends and family because it was difficult to always talk about. It was really writing things out that really kind of helped me get an idea as to what was happening. When I was doing my weekly injections, I had a take a shot with me challenge with my friends where I would inject in my leg for the treatment, and they would all have a shot. And so for me, it was just a way for all of us to connect and kind of have something together. And
are you starting to think like an advocate yet? Or are you starting to do anything that's considered advocacy or not yet?
Absolutely. 2016 was the year where I was basically so jaundiced that it was impossible not to notice. The only reason people didn't immediately notice was because I was so tan, but I was also very jaundiced. And so I was just kind of orange. So in May of 2016, CalHep formed, which was an organization that linked together the organizations kind of fighting for hepatitis elimination in California. The next day, we went in there, and they normally have a 2-minute time limit. And so when we got there, they, saw me in line with my cane. And again, you can see from a distance that I am very ill. And so they all stayed and listened to the whole thing. I tried to do 2 minutes, but I gave about 5.5. A lot of that funding for the linkage to care programs and the testing, and even some of the work that's done here for End Hep C San Diego, a lot of that funding came from this. We got $6 million, $2 million a year for this program that was really linkage to care services and testing services for hepatitis C to help lead towards elimination.
Every advocate has a story of something that they thought could be done better. So it's interesting to see kind of where you saw your opportunity.
Yeah, it was a great experience. And so I continued engaging in that type of political advocacy, writing about it as well. And, from then, I received my transplant December 2016. Maybe a few months afterward, I started my last treatment, my 6th treatment. And thankfully, it was successful in
Yeah, out of all your experiences, what's one thing that stands out the most? Is there one, either good or bad, or just the one thing that just sticks with you?
It's a weird thing, I guess. In 2018, I was flying, and when I was leaving, I had my shirt on from one of the previous press conferences that we had done in 2017. Said, "Hello, my pre-existing condition is hepatitis C." You know, one of the flight attendants comes up and is like, "Hey, so I need to talk to you outside. You know, it's about your shirt. Having explicit content on a t-shirt is actually an offense, and they actually can't pull you off the plane for it." And so when they pulled me off, they were concerned that, you know, somehow it would be transmissible. And it was the weirdest experience. I broke down hepatitis C, explained the transmission routes. They're not going to just get it being near me or seeing me, hugging me or interacting with me.
And I think that some people, the stigma that's attached to it, rather than leading into the opportunity and using it to educate, they would back away from it and just shut down. And I think that leads into like the stigma that's associated. Like, how did you choose just to go forward and be open and so open about it?
Well, to be honest, it started off a little bit accidentally. When I was like 12 to 14, I didn't think about how others would react to this, so I just told people. And then I learned in high school how that ramification impacts you in tons of ways. Views, I knew that they just were unaware. They don't know. And if I could help them, because they're obviously asking for help functionally by, you know, kind of, in this case, taking me off a plane. It was important, though, I felt, to explain to people not only the components of it, but all the aspects of it, because it's, otherwise we don't move anywhere. Otherwise the stigma just stays the same. And, you know, one of the benefits of being so open about it, as I am, and as I tell people my story, is really that, you know, it makes it easy for me to confront stigma in that sense. It's very difficult for other people to, generally speaking, when you're not as open about it, because, you know, you have to take that first step.
I appreciate you being here today with us. I'm going to put down the links in the description of the organizations that you mentioned. This is about getting to know you, Rick Nash, the individual, a little bit about your story, the making of an advocate. It doesn't just happen overnight. I just thank you for being you and for spending some time today.
Thank you. Thank you. And if I can mention some of the mentors that I've had as well, Lucinda Porter, Robin from Help for Hep, Ronnie Marks, Thaddeus Pham, and then Alan Franciscus, because he was such a huge resource guide to me becoming an advocate in the first place.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much, Rick. You have a great day.
Thank you very much, man. This was fantastic. I appreciate you having me on, and I can't wait to see more of Take 5.